Hello and welcome to the last Ask Guillem from Lisbon and the last Ask Guillem of the season. And that's because as soon as the Champions League is over, it'll be time to stop being this Guillem and becoming the Guillem the writer, because I have to finish a book, or at least do as much as I can with the book. I'm doing a book on Maradona, and I'm going to dedicate the next 4 or 5 weeks to actually focus on it and do at least half of it. Then I'll have 3 more months to finish the draft in December. But the big push has to take place in September. It's a strange season for everyone. And now that I feel I'm about to go on holidays, but it won't be holidays because I'll be writing, it's when the summer is finishing. It really is weird. But it is what it is, and we have to adapt to it. So with this little introduction, personal introduction, let's go for you questions. And I've only put the tweet out, and I've got loads of them, a lot of them on Messi, and I'm not surprised. Yesterday I was telling you about Rodrigo and his interest in finishing at or going to Leeds, which is such a clever proposition. I do feel that at Leeds there are people taking decisions, the CEO, the director of football, especially the chairman, and Bielsa as well, who think out of the box. And it was brave, very brave from, I imagine, it was Victor Horta coming out with this idea, how about Rodrigo, as almost everybody at Valencia is for sale, how about Rodrigo? And I'm sure that the wages that Leeds could offer will match and improve the one from Valencia. Remember, Rodrigo was wanted by Atletico Madrid last summer, and Barcelona also have been interested in him. But perhaps the surprising bit here is it hasn't been any offer. Valencia say there's been no contacts yet, but that the player will be more than happy for this to happen. And it makes complete sense from a football point of view, because you're talking about a player that is used to and happy to, to be intense with and without the ball, fast, clever movements. Luis Enrique was talking about when he made the last collab, and he called the likes of Ansu Fati, Rodrigo has been a regular. He was actually talking about, I had typical number 9s in my side, but I've decided to go for clever movement. Is the new football, isn't it? No references for the centre backs. A lot of dynamism is the way that Liverpool plays, or RB Leipzig plays. Even PSG, Bayern Munich. There is a lot of movement up front. It's the way to play. So Spain are going to do that with Ansu Fati, and we'll do that with Rodrigo as well. And for Leeds, it just makes complete sense to have that kind of play as well. Intelligent, hard worker, desiring the success of the collective, because that's the kind of culture he belongs to. And we'll have to keep an eye on it quite clearly, because we're still in early stages in terms of club conversations. And of course, Leeds will have to reach an agreement with Rodrigo as well. All that has not happened. All I'm saying is that Rodrigo likes the idea of Leeds, and that is fascinating in my eyes. I'm also, but this is a guess, I imagine that came from clever thinking from Leeds. Why not? We have the financial capabilities. This is the Premier League where everybody wants to come to. So let's see where that ends up. But it is a fascinating proposition, as I said in the tweet. Anyway, let's go to some of your questions. Carl Davis is asking, will Oblak be at Chelsea for the start of the season and keep it going in the following direction? As if I had, as if I could have guessed the future. I don't know if they will be or not, but Atletico Madrid are scared that Oblak will listen to that proposition, to that offer, which could arrive if Chelsea feel that Oblak will be willing to leave. Again, because the buyout clause is so high, you are talking about the most expensive goalkeeper in history, and that's something that Chelsea will have to obviously try to reduce by trying to Kepa go the other way. Right now, from Atletico Madrid, they're saying, and Simeone is saying, that everything starts with Oblak, that he needs to stay. And my understanding is that right now at this stage, it has been no offer from Chelsea at all. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. If it happens or not, we'll see. Brett Neil Mackenzie, is there any truth to the Gini and Van de Beek to Barca rumors? It's only logical that those rumors will start. But remember, even though Koeman has said that he wants 5 or 6 new signings, they got to get rid of players first. And I can tell you, Luis Suarez, through the media, said he's not moving. Perhaps it's his ways of forcing Barcelona to pay every single penny until the end of his contract. You've got Alba and Busquets' agent, Jose Maria Orovic, saying exactly the same. They're not moving. Obviously, they're positioning themselves for what's coming. And what's coming is the invitation from the club to for these 3 and others, like Rakitic, Arturo Vidal, just to go. Rebel with a cause says, what prospects for Biggleswade United in the upcoming season? Well, 3 legs of this. I know some of you are going to fast forward this bit, but I'm happy to talk about it. Youth have had a difficult time to recruit players because they haven't been able to train until very recently, but things are starting to move in that direction. We're going to have 2 under-16 teams, which is fantastic news. First team ladies are looking strong. We almost confirmed to be a division above, as if we had been promoted, which also will make for more competitive football. Looking forward to that one. And men's, well, we were on our way to promotion and we're in a cup final. It'd be nice to repeat those 2 feats next season. That's the plan. More news on that will come through the Twitter account of Biggleswade United and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. Because I've got big news coming our way. We've signed a great player, former Rangers player. More on that very soon. And we've got the first game. The first official game is the 1st of September. So hopefully he'll be ready for that one. And that's FA Cup game, which will be streamed live on our YouTube channel, Biggleswade United, at Woodbridge Town Football Club. We're playing away. So that'll be the preliminary round or whatever they call it. The first one of the competition. Tamuka Munyaratsi, he says, thoughts on Ronald Koeman and his possible 11. As he wants new players coming in and he wants to get rid of some players and he won't be able to get rid of all of them, it's very difficult to predict. But I made an 11 that had, for instance, Jordi Alba and Semedo in the flanks with Ter Stegen at the back, even though he may not be able to play the whole of September because of the operation that he's done. With Eric Garcia and Piqué in the middle, even though Piqué is supposed to be up for sale. With the young, because Koeman plays very often a 4-2-3-1 formation, and actually his football is the least Cruyff-like football out of possibly all the players that have been under Cruyff and now have become managers. He's very practical, very pragmatic. He enjoys using the players he's got. He's not a fundamentalist of positioning and possession. He likes quick transitions. He likes a De Jong that moves around freely, as he does with Holland. So it's interesting that the debate that was around Pochettino, he's an Espanyol fan, and he spoke against being a Barcelona manager, but especially it was also about his style. Style, no good. Now it's been abandoned because Koeman kind of covers other cracks, the possibility of having a legend at the club, strong personality to get rid of some of these old players have been more important than the way he plays. But the way he would play, I think, with a Pjanic and De Jong in the middle in a 4-2-3-1, as I say, perhaps with Messi behind a striker and striker being maybe Ansu Fati. Why not? He's played in that position. With Griezmann on one side, with Dembele as well. Those are possibilities, but it has to be a dynamic forward style, I'm sure it have to be, because everybody's playing that way. So that's my suggestion for an 11. And a lot will depend who comes in, of course. And now we're getting into Leo Messi. Brendan Kenny says, which clubs will realistically go for Leo and which club would he realistically be attracted to go to? Very good questions. Let's put the context first. Leo Messi is angered by the situation. Losing 8-2 for somebody who doesn't like to lose is very hurtful. But he has been saying it all along. In fact, if he was as important as people say that he is in the side and in the decisions, they would have just taken note of everything he's been saying. No Griezmann, perhaps no Griezmann meant yes to Neymar. Imagine Neymar at the club now. This was last summer. Don't get rid of Valverde, but Valverde goes and everything collapses. So I think he will do a good director of football. But as we know, the president took different directions. As it's been reported, Abidal was also somebody that said, the former director of football who left, he was saying no to Griezmann. He was saying he wasn't convinced about Coutinho. He just basically was left on his own when he criticized the side that they weren't training enough after Valverde was sacked. And at that point, he needed the backing of the board and the president, and he didn't get it, especially when Messi came out and said, you should mention names. And eventually, the reason why Abidal eventually left, having said to Xavi Hernandez in January, they're just not listening to me, and Xavi recommended him to actually move aside then, if that was the case. Well, the stroke that broke the camel's back was when there was a meeting, apparently, to talk about Messi, and he was not invited, which is very strange. So all in all, it's a very presidential club, and I think Barcelona deserves more, and structure that is strong enough to handle any crisis. At the moment, this crisis, which according to the president is not institutional, is sporting, but it sounds, it looks, and it is institutional. It's got to do with the structure, with how everything gets run, with the decisions that are being made. Well, all that at the moment goes back now to the decisions of the president. He's still in charge of all that, and they are scared. Well, not scared. That's not the word. Let's start again. They are thinking that with Messi leaving, it will leave a big gap. Forget I said the word scared, because actually it kind of suits, if the way it's been portrayed for the first time since Messi arrived to Barcelona, for the first time, the way it's been portrayed is that Messi wants to leave. And that, as I said in one of my tweets, fits the president agenda, which is that if he leaves, he leaves. And it'll be 50 million euros net. Some say even 60 million euros net, which he's earning. That's about 120 or 100 million euros gross, which could go back into the coffers and will allow Barcelona to have more flexibility in the market. Directors are talking like that. Directors of Barcelona are saying, well, if he wants to go, he can go. Hence the reporting in the media of, it's Messi, it's all down to Messi. So there was a meeting yesterday with Koeman, and out of that meeting, two people, Koeman, Messi, and neither of them leaked the story, but the story came out that they had met, and that Messi's thinking, I see myself more out than in the club. It can only be leaked from within the club with the idea of, again, putting pressure to Messi and kind of inviting him to go. That's what I'm feeling, and that's a position that I know many people at the club defend, but they're not brave enough to say it openly. So meanwhile, we've seen these situations with Messi. If you really know Messi, you let him deal with this in his own way, and then talk to him little by little and try to convince him, if that's what he wants, that is the best idea to actually stay around. If you don't want to convince him, then you act the way that I'm saying I feel the board is acting. It's a difficult proposition. It's 33, of course, and the debate within the club is, well, it takes so much of the budget. He's 33, but he's still best player in the world. So can we convince him to be part of this transition into a competitive Barcelona? And that's the question that Messi has to ask himself. Do I want to be part of a transition that may take 2 years, the 2 years that he's got left, I think, at elite football? Or do I go somewhere else where I can win straight away? And that's the temptation. And right now, that's what Messi will prefer, right now. But he's got a buyout clause of 700 million euros, which it can be negotiated down with 1 year left in his contract, but he's got huge wages as well. I'm hearing PSG not interested in offering and opening the door, despite the reports. I'm hearing that City are not in a rush to do that, but have been very, very interested in having him. So the idea will be from either of them, PSG or City, as the two main candidates, to actually open the door for next season, which is the most likelihood of that could happen. But a year in football is a long time. Right now, there won't be negotiations for another contract for Messi, and in January he'll be able to negotiate with another club. But to leave right now, it doesn't make sense because there's no club with the financial muscle to actually do that, even though it may be interest. So that's where it stands. So really, Barcelona, I think, have got only one option: to try to convince Messi to have a good year. And during the year, he may be convinced by Koeman, by the youthfulness and new energy of the side, by the signings, etc. But you have to let him be right now. He's not contacting anybody. He's only his closest family, and he's got to come out from the moment he's in, what he's feeling, for a final decision, which hasn't been taken or will not be taken in the next few days. Sim is saying, why would Messi leave when the club has raised and nurtured him, need him more than ever? For all these reasons that I'm saying, it's a financial situation. He's 33, so some people say, well, actually, if you want energy and youthfulness and a team that goes, that works really hard, defending as well, you perhaps are not able to count on Messi. But you can build a team in which Messi is very important. And it's interesting the kind of way that Koeman talks about this. It's more talking, the way he talks, it sounds to me more like not so much what Messi can do for the club. Not so much what the club can do for Messi, but more like what can Messi do for the team, which is a different kind of conversation that has been had with Messi by previous chairman and by previous managers. All in all, it's a situation that won't be resolved in the next few days. And as I say, we're going to have to wait for Messi to find a better state of the mind where he's a little bit more relaxed about things before he takes a final decision. Aaron Sheenan is saying, in order for Messi to stay at Barcelona, what do they need to do? Is it a case of the president resigning or calling for elections? Elections have been called for March. That's the earliest that the president, according to the rules of the club, can call the elections in March. The problem is that if he had resigned, elections could be in October. Because he's not resigning, it won't be until the 15th of March, the earliest. It'll be after the first game after the 15th of March, basically. And that's the intention. So to convince him is for Koeman to actually realize that there is something happening that is special and that he's important. That's basically the main thing that has to happen. And Messi has to believe that, as I said, he's got these two questions to ask himself. Do I lead this group in a transition, or do I go somewhere else if there is the possibility of doing so? But that will need perhaps one more year for that to happen, when he will be 34 and still one of the best players in the world, no doubt. Football NA Knicks, something like that, is asking, would you say are definite departures for Barcelona this summer? You cannot say, because if they don't want to leave, and the players will determine how they leave, and if they don't want to leave, it'll be very difficult to leave with the club unless they pay them off. And some of the contracts are long contracts to 2022, 2023, and they are in the 30s already, these players. So it can only be by paying them off. And that will also put such a stress into the budget of Barcelona that will stop them getting players. So it's very, very difficult to tell what will happen. Finally, Asim196 says, will Liverpool move anyone on to sign Thiago, in your opinion? Well, what I'm hearing is there is no 4-year deal with Thiago in place. Not yet. It hasn't happened. They are not in a rush to agree on this yet. And basically, it's just a matter of admitting that Thiago is available and be well positioned if something happens. That's where where I'm hearing the situation is. He may end up moving Thiago to Liverpool, Right now, what I've been told is that Thiago is not about to sign for Liverpool, and he hasn't been an agreement, a 4-year deal agreement with him, not yet. So we'll have to, again, it's one of those that will have to be properly timed. At the beginning, I thought that there was hardly no interest in Thiago. I realized Liverpool are keeping a very close eye on the situation to act upon it at the right time if they decide eventually to do so, because they think that they've got a lot of players in midfield, but if movements take place, and a lot of people mention about Wijnaldum, actually, as I say, Barcelona don't have the money to get a Wijnaldum, even though he's got a year left in his contract right now. There's a lot of other things that have to happen, but the Beek is the same. And what has to happen is they have to get rid of players first. Difficult circumstances in not a lot of time as well. And the window, if I'm not mistaken, finishes in October. So it's going to be a very busy September. For now, I'll leave you to it. I hope you enjoyed this season as Guillem's. I think we're getting better to it, both with your questions and me, hopefully with my answers. This is a long one for you, as it is a week of a lot of action. I hope you all have a good summer, and I'll be talking to you after my break. See you soon. Bye.